Hello. We cut off because it had been an hour, but we're just deciding to hop on again for because Daniel was still saying something really important. So just wanted to finish off the conversation because it felt really important. So I'm just going to let Daniel in. Bear with me a second. Okay. It was like
We should probably.
there.
I know. It feels like it. There's probably, I was like, we got timed out. I felt like there's probably so much energy. Probably just needed to probably just needed to energetically just take a pause as well.
But yeah, I mean, people are joining, so it feels like a really important conversation. So let's continue for a bit. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. So before we got cut off, we were speaking about releasing how through what Jesus said was about. He said, on earth as it is in heaven. So if we aren't releasing what's going on in heaven here on earth, even from a Christian point of view, you're missing a trick. You're missing a trick. And how inequality doesn't exist in heaven. None of these injustices exist in heaven. So if the foundation and the core of your religious practice isn't getting you closer to anti-racism, anti-sexism, and dismantling systems of oppression, I'm telling you, you're missing a trick. You're missing a trick. It's got to have that at the core of it. But so much of religiosity and so much of religion, doesn't actually do that. It doesn't. It does the opposite. And so that's what I was saying. And I think the other thing I was going to say is that one of the reasons why I think this energy is coming through for Maya and I the way it is today is because I'm telling you, there's no way that we can be free as Black and brown people or anyone if we are still energetically and spiritually tied to these abusive religious doctrines. There's no way. There's no way. And so I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, I firmly believe that Spirit is calling you, and this is an invitation for you. Question, read, learn, and ultimately divest from abusive doctrine, divest from systems of oppression. Do it. I'm here to tell you, do it. That's the work that's on offer for us to do. That's the work. That's the work.
Yeah, and you won't be alone. I mean, we've done it. There's plenty of stuff out there, even on social media. There are plenty of communities where people are actively divesting and talking about religious abuse. Like it's something that so many people know about now. And I just want to talk about one of the insidious ways that religious abuse shows up. It's gaslighting. It's like you see something red and they tell you it's blue. And by the time that they've messed with you and told you it's blue 100 times, you question your own intuition, you question your own discernment, you question your own sovereignty. And that is exactly what some of these religions want to do to you. It's like weaken your own power. Basically, the institutions are about power and it's about maintaining that power. But you can't maintain that power if you are empowering the individuals that are following. Because if you empower them and if you tell them actually, you don't really need us to tell you what to do. Like you have your own intuition, you have your own connection with spirit that's actually quite direct. Most of us do, all of us do actually when we tap into it. Well, then they're not going to follow you anymore. And then where are they going to get their money and their power and all of these things from? So we do need to really, and I'm sure many of us are, just question what is the motivation here? And what are the cruelties that I'm having to accept as part of this institution? Which ways do I feel ashamed of myself? Am I gay? Am I feeling like I can't be who I am in this institution? Well, that's abusive. If you feel like if you can't follow the sexual orientation that you feel deep in your soul is right for you, and you feel like the people around you aren't going to accept that, you got to question that environment. Because if love is love and it's about the love of the soul, then why the hell should that even matter to people? They should be celebrating for you. And I think that's another thing, in the book, The Spirit of Intimacy, that we spoke about even last week, they talk about people who are in the LGBTQ plus community as very important gatekeepers because they have 1 foot in the spiritual world and 1 foot on the earth, and like they're incredibly important members of a community that need to be heard and listened to, because they often get the downloads that the rest of us don't get. Like they have acute sensitivity and intuition, and you know, like they are important, powerful figures that have been outcast in this, let's just say, Christian, Islamic, you know, in many religions, they've been outcast, and actually we need to be reestablishing them as like important community leaders. And so, you know, it's all completely reversed. And you find with Christianity, it's like people are ashamed to be who they are. People are ashamed to be part of the LGBTQ plus community in churches, because they feel like they're going to go to hell, you know, like the eternal damnation. How cruel is it to tell someone that because of who they love and how they love, that that God doesn't favor them, that they will be eternally damned to hell? I mean, that to me is one of the biggest cruelties, because it's like spiritual genocide. It's killing your soul. It's imprisoning your soul for the sake of someone else gaining power, someone else that you'll barely know. You know, it's really, really shocking when you actually get to the mechanics of why these institutions exist. You know, and it's such a big topic. I think that's why we've gone over the time, and this is our second conversation about it, because there's just so much we can say.
There's so much to say. We're on part 2 already. We're on part 2.
Yeah.
And particularly right now, when it comes to Black and brown people, the homophobia that exists within many of our communities, it is not natural for us. And I want people to know that it is not natural. That is not our natural state of being. Colorism is not our natural state of being. It's not. These things have been implemented and impregnated into us by the Euro-Gentile. I love that terminology, by the way. And by the way, I want everyone to know it's not a derogatory term. It is what we call the colonizers, those who have taken the Christian text and used it to abuse and oppress other people. The Euro-Gentile. Again, the book talks about the spirit of intimacy, like Maya said, with the Dagar people. Again, the LGBTQ plus community is revered. If you're someone from that community, you are revered. You have such an integral role within the organization, the tribe and community. Such an integral role. And it's like so many of these things have been lost. So many of these things have been lost. And so again, we have to be able to go back to who we are. And as an African man, I have to go back to who I am. What is my ancestral line? The power that exists within my ancestral line predates Christianity. My power doesn't come because of Christianity. It predates Christianity through my ancestral line. See, the thing is about this is that I know where I come from. All right. I know the power I have. All right. So, and we could have a whole nother conversation about white spirituality and how that, again, looks to just latch on to black and brown spirituality and does exactly what whiteness tends to do and exploit and oppress, et cetera, et cetera. But for us, the best thing that we can do as people of color is get back to who we are. What was stolen from us? But to get what was stolen from you, you have to know what was stolen. And our spiritual practices, our connection to the earth, the ways of being, the ways of engaging with each other, our sense of community, these things were taken from us. And if once we get back to it, you're stepping more into your power. You're stepping further and further into your power by reclaiming that. And that, again, that's part of the work that's on offer for us to do. And again, I don't want anyone to be ashamed of who they are. Yeah. Anyone. That's abusive. Yeah. It's abusive. Like Maya said, you're talking about eternally damned. Eternally damned. So like, even after I die, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Like, that's abusive. People, I want you to, if you're listening, that is abuse. Maya has told me that
That's my
phrase
tagline.
So many times. That is Maya's tagline. Literally Maya's tagline.
It's going
like,
on my grave.
I remember, it literally, honestly, like we've already talked about it. Like on Maya's grave, it will be, that's abuse. That's it. So anyone who comes past it will just recognize it. That's abuse. Whatever's going on, whatever's triggering you, you will know that it's abuse. All right. But I'm here to tell you the same way Maya has told me, that is abuse. All right. It's abuse. It's normalized, but it's abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. You do not have to stay in abusive institutions. You don't have to stay in abusive churches. You don't have to do it. You do not have to do it.
Yeah.
And I would implore you, divest. If you feel called, I'm not here to tell you what to do. Mine's not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you, detangle your soul. Detangle your soul from the oppressive systems. That is just detangle, divest from the systems of oppression. Divest.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, like when you divest, just bear in mind that it will take some time, because what they've done is they've kind of taken over your mental and emotional, psychological, spiritual ways of being. So like it will take time to figure out who you are underneath all of the manipulation. So for example, with me, the way that I viewed sex, because of Christianity, like you have to wait until marriage, and if you don't, then you've sinned and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it took me so long. And I think I still have like remnants of some of that shame that was like so kind of deeply embedded, especially with female sexuality. You know, the way that Mary Magdalene was turned into a prostitute, and like that sex work in general was turned into something like really negative, and like that women couldn't own their bodies and that it was not an empowered thing to do. And secondly, she wasn't even a prostitute anyway. She was turned into that. So the way that women and sex have been like really usurped and kind of like toxified in, you know, even from like Adam and Eve and stuff, like all of that I've had to like really, really unlearn. It's taken time, you know. And something else I was going to say, and I can't remember it now, but like there's just so much that I've had to like unlearn from like the Christian beliefs that were put into me. And so it does, you know, it does take time. Oh, this is the other belief that I had. It was like, to be good, to be of service, you have to be in poverty, because Jesus lived in poverty apparently. And like all of these people who are of great service in the world, you know, never mind the people at the heads of church who are like rolling in gold and, you know, all of those people, but like the people that we look to in our general life, you know, like Mother Teresa and Jesus and like all these people, that toxic belief that you have to suffer, you have to be in poverty, you have to be in scarcity mentality if you are to be a good person, that completely fucked me up. Like even now I'm having to learn, like I can still be of service and be financially abundant because of Christianity. Christianity made me feel like that. It wasn't Hinduism. Not that Hinduism doesn't have a plethora of issues. Let's not even talk about casteism, colorism. You know, every institution has its abuse. But Christianity for me, because that was what I was mainly brought up into, my goodness, it like messed me up in terms of right and wrong, like heaven and hell, being rich, being poor. All of these things, like that, you know, it will take time for you to slowly unpick that from your mind, but that's okay, because there are enough of us out here doing this work now. Even on social media, there's some great Instagram accounts. So, you know, you're not alone when you do step out of these religions. Like we did it, well, I mean, you did it in 2020, I'd done it a bit earlier, but I was there to help you, and there'll always be someone, if you reach out, that can help. And I just want to also say, it's not just old institutions of religion, it's new age cults, spiritual groups. Like, I mean, we're going to talk about white spirituality another time because that's a whole other thing. But like, you know, just be aware that if anyone is making you feel bad for being you and not allowing you the space to question what they're telling you and what ideologies they're putting on you, that is abusive, because you should be able to question. You should be able to retain your own individuality and your own spiritual sovereignty. You should be able to walk away without people questioning you. Now, if that's not the case and you're feeling afraid, that's abusive. And please seek some support. Please try and get the hell out of that place, you know, but like, we're not even kidding now. Like, this is a serious time for people to be really divesting and getting back into their sovereignty, because this world needs us to be standing in our power right now. It really, especially as people of color, we need to be standing in our power, and that direct line to spirit that comes from you, not like someone telling you, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. You have a connection. And even if you don't believe in spirit, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But like, when people are telling you what to do, I just feel like there's a bit of a problem there. So yeah.
100%. I love what you said. I love what you said. Honestly, Maya said it. I just echo, we have to be in our power. We have to be, for the work that's on offer for us to do, and for the work that's ahead of us, we have to be in our power. not offsetting our power to someone else so that now God can see us only because Jesus is here, and like, oh, well, thank God for Jesus. And in your power, your power, you have a direct mindset. You have a direct line to spirit. You have a direct line. You need to be in your power. Like, come on now.
But even he said that in the New Testament, like, everything I can do, you can do. So like, when did that become like completely usurped and taken over? Like, that's the thing. We have the power. We just, we've been trained and conditioned out of it deliberately so that we give our power away, and that we're weakened spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, physically, sexually. But now is the time to like realize that and take it all back, you know. And I'm sure, because this conversation has been so potent, and I can tell people are like really needing this right now, and so do we. You know, we'll probably touch on these elements again. Please do let us know as well. Like, DM us, let us know if there's like aspects of that you want us to talk about, or what you want us to go deeper. You know, we're here for that.
Yeah.
That's what we love doing.
100%. And you know, you've said it, you know, and Jesus didn't just say that you'll do what I did. He didn't just say that. Jesus says, you will do greater works than I did. That's what Jesus said. He said, you will do greater works than I did. Jesus raised people from the dead. He healed lepers. He healed the blind. Jesus was doing a lot of stuff. I mean, the brother was a mystic beyond mysticism.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing. And he says, you are going to do greater works than I did.
Yeah.
Well, come on, people. Come on. And again, I bring it back to systems. Okay, well, raising someone from the dead is impressive, but ending racism is, I mean, that tops it. I mean, ending patriarchy and white supremacy, that to me, that's a greater work. Yeah. That's a greater work.
Yeah.
So that, and so come on now, people. And that, even if you go based off of what Jesus said, a lot of the stuff in the church doesn't make sense. If you're going off of what he said and how he lived his life, some of this stuff doesn't even make sense.
I know. And you know what as well? Like, the way that what Jesus did was essentially energy work, because he was literally working with the spirit, like the energy of spirit, the energy of God. And like, the amount of, when I was in the Christian world, the amount of Christians that were like, ooh, energy works like evil, and energy works this and that. And I'm like, what the hell do you think Jesus did? What was he working with? It's energy. God is energy. Spirit is energy. Like, how do you think he did these things? It just made me think, like, how messed up, like, the church has made people. It's like, on one hand, they'll believe in spirit, and then the other hand, they'll be so afraid of their own power and like ghosts or anything that like questions things. Reincarnation, for goodness sake. Reincarnation is in the Bible in certain ways, and like, even then, Christianity has like cut people off from the idea of reincarnation because it wants people to believe in heaven and hell. Because reincarnation gives people power. If you think, actually, I'm not going to go to hell, I'm just going to be reborn and then I can like sort things out. Well, then people are going to be like more powerful because they don't believe in eternal damnation. So if you really want to weaken a population, make them believe in judgment, sin, and heaven and hell. Don't make them believe in reincarnation.
And not only that, it's also ritual. So again, through religion through colonization, again, it just completely like dismantled and stripped us away from our natural rituals as Black and brown people. And rituals are so important, like how we connect to this earth. It's so important. And again, I want people to know Christianity is full of rituals, no matter what denomination, rituals all over the place.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, and like, even if you use the term mystic, people are like, ooh, what do you think supernatural is? What do you think supernatural is? Communion, what is that? Communion is a blood ritual. That's what communion is. You're taking wine or juice or whatever you use in your particular church, and you're saying you're using that as a representation of the blood of Christ. That's a blood ritual. But then when you go into like these indigenous ways of being, it's like, oh, like that's this, that's that, that's evil, that's that. Come on now.
Speaking in tongues, what the heck is that if not like channeling spirit? You know, like, but if tribal people do it, or if anyone else does it, it's like, ooh, that's really weird. And then those groups where people gather around someone and they like, this person is like, they've got like a serious disease or something, and then suddenly the person's like alive again and awake again, and like they're living, and the disease is gone. Well, that's just like what people have been doing for millennia in different spiritual practices and different rituals. But it's allowed when it's like Christianity but it's not allowed when it's outside of that. And like, you just got to question like what this is all about, basically. Hypocrisy.
Yeah, and it can 100%. And you can't in order to do that, you have to look at colonialism. You have to look at race. You have to look at capitalism. You have to look at all of it. You've got to look at all of it. And that's why reading, like, honestly, like the more we educate ourselves and you understand how intertwined this is, and how, like, again, it's all about power. It's all about power. Even within your local church, it's power.
It is.
It's about power.
Because go to any local church and look at the picture of Jesus. Tell me what color his skin is. And then think about actual Jesus and tell me what color his skin is. Like, they've literally done one on all of us. Like, I was literally brought up thinking Jesus was white. Like, even that is a lie. How could he ever have been white? And so, like, it's literally so obvious, like, the abuse when you just literally go into a church and, like, there's a picture of a statue of a white Jesus with, like, blue eyes or whatever. That's a lie. We've been sold lies because he would never have had that.
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and say that's abusive in itself.
It's abusive. Yeah.
That's that, like the fact that any of us even see that. And again, when you link that to white supremacy, like, and how that goes hand in hand. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like,
the white
again,
God
think about
of all of us. Yeah.
Exactly. Which we only saw during the Renaissance. Like, up until that point, Jesus was not depicted as a white man. It's only when we get to the Renaissance period, that's when we first start seeing Jesus portrayed through the Euro-Gentile lens.
Yeah.
That's the first time we start seeing it. All right. And then that, and that is the main picture that we now see. And it's become pop iconography, I would say, And so, go ahead.
Oh, it's just hilarious that, like, this whole institution was built around a Middle Eastern man, like, that was living under colonial times. And, like, this whole, like, he wasn't even British or English yet, or American or anything, but he's used by those people, by mainly white people to dominate and control people of color. But he literally was a person of color. It's amazing what racism and
the levels.
Like, it's actually, like, hilarious when you think about it, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Like, it's insane. The delusion.
It's delusion. It's delusion. And it's like, I like, again, when you divest, it's just like, you just get out of that delusion. I'm thinking, to round this out, maybe we could share with people how to recognize religious abuse. Like, maybe just like 2 or 3 things that we like, how you can tell, or like some good key indicators of religious abuse.
Okay, so 2 come to mind specifically for me. So one is, if you feel like you can't be your full self in a situation because you will receive judgment, it's most likely that abuse is happening within that setting. Where you are being kind of subtly mentally oppressed to fit into a certain norm, right? So that's one thing. So if you feel like ashamed of a part of yourself, or like you can't express a belief or an opinion or put your hand up and ask a question because people will silence you or gaslight you, that to me is abuse. Secondly, the gaslighting aspect. So if you do say something, or like you do want to leave the church, for example, with Daniel, or you question something and then you're seeing the color red and they're saying, no, that's blue, that's blue, that's blue. And you're like, no, I swear that's red. If you are picking up on something and they are denying it, that's abuse. Yeah. That's abuse.
100%. And I'll add, I mean, there's many more, but I know we're on time right now, but I would just say, what I would say is just listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. So much of spiritual and religious abuse wants you to detach from your body, like, of what's going on internally. Internally, your body's telling you something's wrong. I have a friend of mine who plays drums at the church I used to go to, and he, the very pastor that I had my exit interview with is telling him that because he's not baptized, is questioning whether he should be playing drums at church, or like all this stuff, and it's just. Again, it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Like, and that's what it's just fucking bullshit. And so it's like, again, but in that paradigm, these are the conversations that people have, and these are the things that, like, people have meetings about, and it's just like, cool, fine, cool. Like, I'm out. So have fun. But I was with my mate. There was a group of us, and I was with him, and he was talking about it, and he was getting so upset. Like, he was just like, well, I like this, but like, I hear what he's saying, but like, it's just like, and he was getting so, honestly, he was so hurt And he was getting so angry, and he was just like, I don't think this is right, and da-da-da. And I just sat there, and I was being very calm, and I said, mate, I honor your anger. I honor your anger. Your body is telling you that something isn't right. Your body is telling you something isn't right, and listen to it.
Yeah.
When did Jesus say, thou shalt be born again of water and spirit before you play drums in church? When did he ever say that? When did he ever say that? Tell me, honestly, grab the Bible and tell me one part that him, or even if you throw my man Paul in there, that my pastor wants to bring up. He didn't even, where is Jesus saying this? Where? Because it's not about Jesus, it's about what people are saying. It's about what your pastor is saying. Your pastor, not Jesus. Your pastor is saying. And because now you haven't followed the path, or like you haven't done exactly what your pastor wants you to do, now he's saying you can't express yourself and you can't worship God in the way that you want to, because you haven't done what he said, not what Jesus said, what he said. That's abusive.
Yeah.
That's abusive. And it's even more abusive because he's making it seem like Jesus, it's because of Jesus. It's because of God. Like that's so abusive. And even in this kind of like what people may consider to be a small situation, it's like the levels of abuse that are even in just something like that. Come on. And there are a myriad of situations like that happen in church every week.
Yeah.
Every week. It's abuse. It's abuse. It is religious abuse.
Yeah.
And you know what I would say to anyone who's got a pastor like that? Ask them what their sexual behavior is looking like.
Yeah.
Ask them what their web browser history is looking like.
Yeah.
Tell them to bring that to the congregation, and
Yeah.
then we can have a conversation of
Yeah.
who's playing drums at church or not.
Yeah.
Then we can have a conversation,
Yeah.
okay?
It's that classic thing, and I'm not going to quote it properly, but the plank in your own eye. Like, don't take the speck out of someone else's eye when you've got a plank in your own eye. Like, actually, ironically, a lot of sayings that pertain to this are actually in the Bible. It's hilarious because all of it like comes back. It's all full circle anyway. But oh God,
Honestly.
it's ridiculous.
I'm telling you, my life resembles Christ more now since leaving the church than it ever did when I was in it. Because I don't genuinely think that the Christian institution even allows people to be fully like Christ within the realms of the church. I don't even think it allows that. First of all, to enter many churches, it causes a fragmentation of people. Because for many people, every Sunday, if we're looking at Christianity, every Sunday, people literally shut off parts of themselves to enter into church. That happens across the world every Sunday. It's like they're like, cool, I don't feel like I can bring this into church, even though people are saying, come as you are. A lot of churches will say, come as you are, but what they really mean is come as you are, but not like that.
Yeah.
Come as you are, but not like that. Not this way, not that way, but like that way. But come as you are, come as you are. But no, we're not going to deal with that. We're not going to talk about sexuality. We're not going to talk about homosexuality. We're not going to talk about racism. We're not going to talk about colonialism and the ways that we've abused you. No. Don't come like that. Come like this, but come as you are. Abusive from the very beginning. Abusive from the very beginning. So you have people literally, and what it causes, it exacerbates the fragmentation of who we are as people. Because in most churches, even if they're saying it, a lot of people don't feel like they can be their full selves in church. So before you walk into that church, you literally either shut off half yourself or you leave parts of yourself outside and like, I'll come back to you when I'm done church. So let me leave this part of me outside. Let me leave the fact that I was just hooked, I'm a woman and just hooked up with another woman the night before, or I'm a man and I just hooked up with a man the night before, or, I slept with I'm whoever and I just slept with someone else last night. Let me leave that outside of church. Let me step inside the church and let me play this game. All right. And it exacerbates that fragmentation. It's about integration, bringing all of yourselves into a space. Even through the Christian prism, how can you be healed if you're leaving parts of yourself outside? How?
Well, to be healed is to become whole. So you can't heal. That's the
you
thing.
Can. And I'm telling you now, I used to be a youth pastor. And I'm telling you right now, these pastors. Anyway, that's a whole other situation. No, because we'll be here all day.
Yeah.
We'll be here all day. I'm not even gonna get into that. Don't fragment yourself to go inside a church. I'm telling you right now, the church can't handle Christ. The church can't handle the real Christ.
Literally.
Okay, let's get that straight.
Yeah. Because what he did was he actually questioned the religious teachers and the religious preachers, and he went into church, he went into the synagogues and like turned tables over. So is that what church is now telling us to do? If you disagree with what we're saying, you need to come up to the front and turn the tables over and get really angry just like Jesus did. No, they're not telling us to do what Jesus did. They're telling us to be the opposite of what Jesus did. He was anti-establishment. He was a revolutionary. We are not being encouraged to be like that. We're being encouraged to turn the other cheek, like you said, and forgive all abuses done to us. Just keep turning the other cheek, no matter what they do. Just forgive, forgive, forgive. It's like, no, sorry. There's too much blood. There's rivers of blood underneath this country and underneath Turtle Island because of this religion. Sorry, but those rivers of blood are overflowing now, and your hands are red. So no, I'm out.
No, turning the other cheek. No. See, that is that duplicitous Christian rhetoric that keeps you out of your power, and that keeps the systems of power in place.
Yeah.
I'm not turning the other cheek. Like I said before, I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna go into ritual, and I'm gonna send all of that abusive energy back to you. That's what I'm gonna do. And however Spirit manifests it, I will implore Spirit to manifest it however Spirit sees fit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm telling you, if all of us, particularly Black and brown people, we sent the energy back to white people, we sent the energy back to colonialism, we sent the energy back to these governments and systems of oppression, I'm telling you, you would see a massive shift, a massive shift. This is the work that's here to do. This is energy work. This is energy work. Send the energy back. Go home and send the energy back to them. Release that energy from your body and send it, return to sender. Return to sender. And I'm telling you, you will see a shift happen. You will see it. You will see it. I want to just go back to this fragmentation in church right now, because again, I know a lot of people deal with this. And one of my mates, you know, like I said, my mate who's wanting to play drums and he's in this situation, listen to your body, everybody. Listen to your body. Your body is telling you something's wrong. Listen to it. Okay? And I also want people to recognize as well, you don't have to come from a religious family or religious background to be religiously abused. Religion has seeped into mainstream culture. Like, you don't even have to have grown up in church or any type of religious background. The doctrine is within the society. Like most of us have probably been religiously abused. Most of us, in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And like, even it's literally the rhetoric of religious abuse has come into everything. So even an example I found is when women join things like Weight Watchers or Slim Fast, the idea of like eating something that is bad is called like sinning. I sinned. Where the hell does that come from? That's religious rhetoric. And that might have been taken out now, but like that wasn't taken out a couple of years ago. And I wasn't part of it, but I was noticing it was like this moral, spiritual judgment that was put on fucking food. You know, like this is something that, you know, it's seeped into our religion in Western culture, especially Christianity in Western culture. It is like that.
Yeah.
It is like that. So even if you haven't been brought up in a religious background with Christianity, did you go to assembly when you were younger and did you have to sit cross-legged on the floor while you said the Lord's Prayer? I did. And that was before I went to the Born Again Christian school. That was just in a normal, like, you know, mainly white school in West Yorkshire. I still had to say the Lord's Prayer. Like that has been seeded in my mind. And it's like, I don't even know if I'll ever get it out. So it's like, we've all been completely indoctrinated.
100%. And again, it is a very real possibility that this will be a lifelong journey for people. Yeah. Very real. But I'm telling you, you will see the fruits of it. You will. I left in 2020 with the help of Maya and, you know, some other people around me, but particularly Maya, mainly Maya. I have seen my life change dramatically. I'm here to tell you people, there is life after church. Okay? There is life once you divest from Christianity. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Because
seriously, thank you, Jesus. Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, I know, because we'll get a whole other tangent. There is a life after religion. There is. And you may be in flux for a little bit. I was in flux for a bit. You know, I didn't know kind of like where I was, what was going on. You will find your feet. You will find your grounding. There is a life after religion. And if you divest, like Maya said, there is a space for you. There are people here that have divested, and there's communities here for you.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much. I mean, we've gone into 2 conversations now, so we'll be posting both. Please do share it with people that you feel it may be resonant with, because we do understand from even looking at who's joined today, this is a really important conversation. So please do share. Do message us with letting us know how it impacted you, we'd love to know. Or like any ideas of if you'd like us to cover anything else. We can't promise that we will, but you know, it'd be really good to hear that, and maybe we can incorporate it into more conversations. So thank you so much for joining in to this amazing conversation. Daniel, thank you. You've brought just so much to this conversation. Like, Spirit was definitely with us today.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Maya. Thank you for everything you've brought. And again, like, thank you for just being in relationship with me. Thank you, you know, and I give honor to Spirit for speaking through us today, and hopefully it's touched everyone that's listening. Sending lots of love to everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.